Again.
What do I do now? You're scolding me again as we start. Hey,
yeah, we're beginning the show, and you're like,
I was just writing stuff down. This is how we start. This is how it is in the middle, and this is how we end usually.
It's every day. It's the same thing. I say quiet, and you start going.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to episode 233 of the All Dolphins podcast. He is Omar. I am Pupar. You recognize the Expos hat. Today is February 29th, the last day of February, the day that happens once every 4 years.
Day before my daughter's birthday.
Sorry?
I said it's the day before Mila's birthday. She turns 3 tomorrow. Big day.
I believe, is it not also Tyreek Hill's birthday tomorrow?
Yes, it is Tyreek Hill's birthday. And then there's somebody else who has another birthday.
Mike McDaniel is coming up.
I think Tua's birthday is
yes, like, it was also early March. You are correct.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm late March, but nobody cares.
Oh, look at you. What day?
March 25th.
Happy. Well, no, you're late. You got a while to go. It is also officially today, 2 weeks, 14 days before the Dolphins have to get their books right. $37.6 million over the cap that needs to be cut before you even add a single player, before you tag Christian Wilkins, before you sign Christian Wilkins, because no matter what he signed for, that year one cap, you still got to cut it. Unless you hold off on, you technically you do, but you can agree to a deal and not sign it till the first of the league year. But no matter what, and this is including Xavier Howard and Emmanuel Ogba's release, you still got to clear $37.6 million in cap space.
Yes, we will get into this, some more salary cap issues. Yes, because it's the most pertinent thing going on with the Dolphins right now, more so than the combine, even though we'll touch on the combine briefly after we do our obligatory history lesson. And yes, it is obligatory. Today is episode 233. Dolphins have never selected a player 33rd overall.
Okay.
They have taken 3 players 33rd in a round. Probably the most notable of those may be Cordray Tankersley.
Okay.
Run in 2017. It was a cornerback out of Clemson who actually started 11 games as a rookie, and then his career went downhill, and then he blew up an ACL in practice. I think it was after the season that started, and basically was out of the NFL pretty quickly.
Yeah, he started most of the games his rookie season. I think that was a year Xavier Howard was battling with some injuries, but was never really the same player after that. I believe it was a 3rd round pick, correct?
It was a 3rd round pick. Yep.
Mm-hmm. And just didn't pan out.
And Dolphins have taken 3 players 233rd overall. This is episode 233. The last one was fullback Chandler Cox from Auburn. 2019.
He was here for a cup of coffee.
He was, because the Dolphins switched to an offensive style that did not require a fullback, so they said see ya. And then bad timing for Chandler Cox, because when Mike McDaniel came in, Mike McDaniel loves the fullback, but Chandler Cox was already gone
a long time ago, and I don't even think he was in the NFL after the Dolphins cut him much.
Correct.
Yes.
Played, I believe it was 2 seasons, I want to say, maybe. Mm-hmm. So this is where we stand. Nothing else to say about the history lesson. So well done. A couple of quick combine notes today. With the on-field workouts for the combine began with the defensive linemen and the 2 guys who stood out in the 40-yard dash was the big dude from Texas. And when I say big dude, I'm talking 366 pounds is what he weighed. Official measurement at the combine, and he ran, I think it was like a 5.2, and you look and move it is Tavondre Sweat from Texas, who is going to be a 1st-round pick. He's a massive don't give me that look. He's a massive space eater in the middle of the defensive line, and if the Dolphins were so inclined, even though I don't, because I think there's another position that's screaming for a need. We'll get to that a little bit later, possibly. He's that guy who would fill the Michael Pierce, Trevor Jones role that the Baltimore Ravens had. And mind you,
you like you jarbled up. He's a guy that can fill the what?
And again, why is it my jarbling up when it's perfectly fine on my end? What's going on? Is it your internet, my internet?
I don't know. Just say it again. He's a guy that can fill the who role?
Full that massive space eater role in the middle of the defensive line, a la Michael Pierce, Travis Jones, sorry, with the Baltimore Ravens, those guys who weigh like 350 pounds, and basically clog up the middle and free everything else.
Don't forget the FSU kid.
Well, I was going to mention the FSU kid, Braden Fisk, who had the fastest time for in defensive linemen so far, who moved very well, had a very good Senior Bowl week.
He was moving. Not just that, he did great in the position drills. I saw some defensive linemen that I actually follow, and they were tweeting out some of his video, and he absolutely killed it. Chad Ochocinco tweeted out some of his video. When you're that big and you move that fluidly, people gotta go back to the film.
Yeah, and he's one that was a drill where they jump over the
typewriter truck. Yeah.
I'll give you another guy who I liked, who when I saw play absolutely jumped out to me, was among the fastest times among interior defensive linemen, is Mekhi Wingo from LSU. He jumped out to me like a guy like all over the place, clearly the most dominant guy. He gave me Ed Oliver vibes when I saw him at the University of Houston. But Wingo is not considered nearly that high of a prospect. The game I saw from him was fairly early in the season. I didn't follow LSU closely enough to where I saw a ton of their games, so I don't know. I can tell you he jumped out to me when I saw him.
Remember when Ed Oliver was like a can't miss prospect? Do you remember that?
Balled out last year. It took him a while to get going in the NFL, but he got going last year. That dude was like man among boys at Houston.
Mm-hmm. I'm only bringing it up because Wilkins is a better player than him, so it'll be interesting to see. What? No, come on.
Last year the dude was good, man. He was good. Give the man his props.
Christian was good too. Christian was really good.
Really, really, really good. Yes.
Yeah. And Ed Oliver was one of the players. I believe he's at like $16.6 million in real value in his extension. And he was the only guy who took a below what the market was giving contract. And basically the Dolphins tried to do a little bit of jump over the line, and Christian was like, "What? No, thank you. I'm good."
Christian was like, "Look at the other guys. Let's look at Dexter.
Yeah, look at those guys, not this guy. Look at those guys." Yeah. And ultimately Christian will win out on this because you play, you ball out. As I said, NFL Network, not that I agree with it, but they rate him the number 4 free agent if he does hit free agency. But honestly, when you're a top 10 or arguably top 10 free agent on the market, you get the tag. So it'll be interesting to see. Now, complicating that is the fact that the Dolphins have to clear $37.6 million in cap space. And if they put the franchise tag on Christian Wilkins, add a $22 million on top of that. And I have been going through the numbers, and I am in the process of producing a breakdown of how do you create the $37 million in cap space. I'm just getting you to 37. This isn't you buy a free agent. This isn't you can't do nothing, but actually just be compliant with the league. And it's challenging enough. If I add Christian on top of that, I feel fearful for them in terms of how much they've got to purge the roster. But there are avenues, Poupard, that you can do, mechanisms that you can make. And I wrote about it on alldolphins.com. I think the easiest layup, the easiest decision for me is extending Tyreek Hill's deal. I know he's got a number of off-field issues and complicated drama, which it seems to be continuously following him. However, I would make the point to you, you know him. You're aware of who he is and the fact that he likes attention. And ultimately, bottom line to me, that makes it a very easy decision is this guy a first ballot Hall of Famer or not? He has 3 more
He's
1,000-yard seasons.
He's on track for that, yes.
Yeah, like, okay, well, I want a first ballot Hall of Famer on my team. I just do. I want any Hall of Famer on my team, but first ballot means you're like elite of the elites.
No, correct. And the only debate there, I mean, everything you're saying is a complete slam dunk. The only debate there is, again, he's about to be 30 years old now. Is you're looking, stop giving me this. I'm saying, are you going to argue with
Mike
me?
Evans is 31. He just had a career year.
Are you going to argue with me that the only, and again, I'm prefacing this by saying the only debate that could be had with this idea is the fact that he's going to be 33 if you push 2 more years.
The guy just contributed.
You're not understanding me, though.
I don't care. He's elite at 30. He's still elite.
Not understanding I'm not saying that you don't do it because of that. I'm saying that that's the only thing that could give you pause to do it. Are you going to give me that, please?
It would. No, the off-field stuff will give me pause to doing it. I don't worry about Tyreek's age. I don't worry about him breaking down physically. Everybody breaks down physically. Yes, the 30-year-olds, they come back. They take a while longer to come back from their injuries. But let's answer this question, and I'll just want a yes or no answer from you, Alan Poupard. Yeah, you love when I back you in the corner.
What's the meaning of life? Yes or no?
Is Tyreek Hill a freak of nature? Yes or no?
Yes. He's also like limped to the finish line each of the past 2 years. The freak of nature. That's a fact.
Freak of natures. They generally remain freak of natures till Cam Wake is the only one that I ever saw like really decline with age.
You mean you're talking about among freaks of nature?
Yes, among freaks of nature. Yes, I'm talking the physical freaks of nature, the guys that are just off the chart, the Brent Grimes, the Cam Wakes, the physical freaks of nature, and I put Tyreek in that category as well. He's just a physical freak. But here's my take on this whole situation, and we've discussed this ad nauseum, but
a lot too.
Huh?
Ad nauseum and a lot too. Go ahead.
Okay, I'll enjoy your Canadian humor for a minute. The $37.6 million in cap space. This is what the apocalypse is about. There's a lot of purging that has to go on in your roster. You have to do business differently than you've done in the past. And clearing that $37.6 million just gets you to being compliant with the league. It doesn't mean you go out there and get Derrick Henry. It doesn't mean you re-sign Robert Hunt. It doesn't mean you make a bid on Andrew Van Ginkel. You still got way more work to do to sign Christian Wilkins to a deal. This is just ways and mechanisms to get you compliant with the league, with the new league year, which happens at 4 p.m. on March 13th. This is where you have to be. And the Dolphins have no choice. This is a non-negotiable. So for the next 2 weeks, they're going to be shaking down players, restructuring contracts, extending contracts, waiving players, and trying to figure out how to create that cap space. So everybody knows, and this is, you've already done Emmanuel and you've already done Xavier Howard. You don't get the use of Xavier Howard's money until June 1st. But you have to create $37.6 million. So what are the routes that you consistently hear, Alan Poupard, of ways to create cap space? Let's address them.
You release Keon Crossan.
Okay, easy. That's an easy decision, saves you $3 million. If you can waive him, because he's had 5 surgeries and he might be in a medical situation where you have to give him an injury settlement. But continue. Yes.
Good point.
Jeff Wilson.
I would have to do cap research on this, whether an injury settlement counts against the cap.
That is, yes, I would have to do that as well. Jeff Wilson, cutting him saves you $2.9 million. So you put him and Keon Crossan together, you've got virtually $6 million in cap space. Okay. I propose on alldolphins.com the extension of Tyreek Hill, adding 2 years at his present $24 million rate. I say even give him $1 million bump just because he's worthy of it. And that would save you an additional $14 million. So that gets you 20 right there. Then you got a tough decision to make regarding Jerome Baker. Releasing Jerome, who's been your starting inside linebacker for 6 or 7 years. Can't remember which one. Six. That gets you $9.8 million in cap savings. Now, it creates a huge hole in your defense, but just add that to the many holes that you've got in your defense, and it's all good.
All over the roster. No, forget defense. All over the roster.
All over the roster. Yes, correct.
I was talking. I'm sorry. I mean, quick side note. I was talking to, I think it was Joe and David. That I don't know if I recall, and this is sorry for Mrs. Me being Mr. Downer, but it's the fact. Do we recall a team that finished 11-6 or 11-5, whatever the case may be, or 10-6, that had so many holes and needs heading into the draft? I mean, holy moly!
They got a lot of holes. Yeah, when you look at the roster, you realize it's Swiss cheese. But most Dolphin fans have not given a thorough, quick, good look at it. They're just like, oh yeah, we got to re-sign everybody. We got to re-sign everybody with what money? Like there is no money. There is no money, and there's no cap space. But you've got to figure out ways to do that. Then we get to, so we're already at release Jeff Wilson, release Keon Cross, and extend Tyreek Hill. I think those are the easiest layups that remain. And then we get to the tough decisions about Jerome Baker. Cutting him saves $9.8 million. They probably haven't done it already because maybe there's going to be a conversation to get him to restructure his deal. And speaking of restructuring deals, I think that there's a possibility that you can do that with Jalen Ramsey, because Jalen Ramsey believed that this is the final year of guaranteed money on his contract. Right. And as you know, when you were approaching the final year of a guaranteed money deal, that's when you generally want to restructure it. You could change the majority. Oh, he's got a $11 billion roster bonus already.
Whoa. Time out.
What's up?
Million. You said billion.
That's 11. I'm sorry. 11 million.
Sign me up for that, man. Sign me up.
Sign you up for 11 million?
No, 11 billion is what you said. So yeah.
Okay.
Sorry.
What complicates this is he's already got 2 fake years in his deal already. This is the final year of the guaranteed money. He's guaranteed $25.5 million. So he doesn't have to do anything if it doesn't benefit him. And ultimately, you can give him a $24 million signing bonus and restructure and change up those years. However, you probably have to add years to the deal to just make it make sense, just like the Tyreek situation. But that would change his cap hit from $27 million to something probably, if you say add 2 more years to it, save you about $13 million in cap space. So that's a huge, huge thing that you could address. However, it means more of a financial commitment. And if you're thinking about Jalen Ramsey, he's going to want to be paid like a top 5 cornerback, which means roughly $18 million, $19 million a year. So are you comfortable with that?
Yeah.
Alan Poupard.
This is also where they can convert salary into bonus and spread it out.
Yes. They can, but he's already got a roster bonus of $11 million. So you're going to have to, he's got a 14.5 base salary. Yes. I think that's a very logical thing to do, but it can be just you move around numbers. You're going to have to give him probably an extension. But ultimately he's walking away the winner from this situation because he's got $25.5 million in guaranteed money coming to him, no matter what you do. Yeah. So that's one of the players that's a viable option. Then you can extend Tua. We've talked about that ad nauseum. Is that how you
a lot too?
And whether you want to pay him the $23.1 million of a 5th-year option or give him a multi-year deal somewhere in the 42 a year round, and I only talk real money. You could throw on the fake $50-$55 million contracts that they'll never see the final year. Quarterbacks is a little bit different, but I don't look at that. I look at real money in terms of what these guys are going to be paid. And Joe Burrow is making $42 million over the first 3 years of his deal. Joe Burrow is making $42.1 million over the first 4 years of his deal a year. So and he's the highest paid quarterback in the league. So that's more along the lines of what Tua's actually going to take home. So I don't pay attention to whatever the fake 7-year or $300 million deal is. I look at what's going to come to him over the first 3 years of the deal. We all know where Pupart sits on this situation, so no need to even go into it anymore. Another option is extending Raheem Mostert, which is something that we both discussed. Raheem is in the final year of his deal, and he's making, for a Pro Bowl player, he's making $2.3 million, which is not a lot of money. And then he's got about $400,000 in game bonuses and workout bonuses. You can add a year to that, but the question is, would you want to, especially considering he's turning 32 this year?
The only problem to me with Mostert is his cap number is 3.36.
Yeah.
How much lower are you going to be able to get it?
No, it's a base salary, and it depends on how many years you can add. And I'm not necessarily adding a number of years to a 32-year-old player, but I think no matter what, Raheem is going to be all right in terms of what they do. But and knowing his situation, considering he's coming off a Pro Bowl year, coming off a career year in rushing, he probably wants a little bit of a bump. So he probably wants to be in that $4 million a year realm, especially when you consider that Jeff Wilson made more than him last year. So, and Jeff Wilson barely even touched the ball. So it's about taking care of your veterans and compensating those guys who are worthy of it. Another player that I often hear get mentioned in terms of guys who, we could just restructure his contract, is Bradley Chubb. Now, mind you, Bradley Chubb is coming off an ACL injury that he suffered in December. So we have no idea when he's going to be healthy and when he's going to be available. But keep in mind that the Dolphins restructured his contract last year to create cap space. And as a result of that restructuring, his 24, 25, 26, and 27 years on his contract, his cap hit is already at $27 million. If you restructure him again, changing the bulk of his $19.7 million contract into a roster bonus, that's going to add $5 to $6 million extra in terms of cap hit. So now he goes from $27 million in cap hit to 32 in 25 and 32 in 26 and 32 in 27. So I'm not necessarily certain that that's exactly a wise proposition to make, especially for a guy who's coming off an ACL injury.
That's fair. And it's not his first either.
Mm-hmm.
That's fair. I believe the other one was to his other knee, but still. No, that's fair.
Then you get into some of these other guys like Zach Sealer, Durham Smythe, Alec Ingle. These are three.
Mike White.
Oh, yeah. Well, I was going to leave those off. I was addressing those guys because they are guys who signed new deals last year. And you'd basically be doing what you did with Teron, Tyreek, and Bradley Chubb in the first year of their deals, which is you basically change all of their base salary, most of their base salary, except for the veteran minimum, into a roster bonus. Mm-hmm. And it pushes down some of their cap hit. Now, the complicating part of doing this with Zach Sealer is he just signed what should now be considered a below market deal, considering he's making $8 million a season. If the Dolphins are coming to me and I'm Zach Sealer and they're saying, hey, we need your help to create some cap space, I'm looking at them and I'm saying, yeah, I want to help you create the cap space, but let's add a couple of years and bump up that salary for me. And
make it worth my while.
Make it worth my while. And this is the world of business. But he's probably got one of the best contracts and deals in the NFL right now in terms of being team friendly.
Correct.
So do you want to take care of him? And I know he signed. Remember when he signed that deal? He signed that deal the week he suffered a knee injury in practice.
Yep.
And so I'm always supportive of guys, getting their money. A bird in the hand is better than two in the bush. And so I'm sure he's not regretting getting that $8 million. But if he was a free agent right now, he'd probably be somewhere in the realm of $14, $15 million a year. So it'll be interesting to see how the Dolphins address that. But you brought up Mike White. Mike White is an opportunity for the Dolphins to create, I believe it was $3.5 million in cap space. $3.5 million in cap space. The problem with that is you would now be removing a backup quarterback from your roster. And for a backup quarterback, $3.5 million is a pretty good bargain. Now, you can extend him as well.
Correct.
You could extend him and see if he wants to continue to be here and he wants the security, and maybe you change all of that base salary, a majority of that base salary, $2 million a roster bonus, extend, and it would probably drop his cap number about $2 million. So extending Mike White is an option as opposed to just releasing him, because truthfully speaking, are you comfortable with Skylar Thompson being the only backup if some team out there says, hey, Mike White, we'd like to sign you for $5 million?
Yeah, no. And mind you, Mike White's from South Florida. So, and playing for the Dolphins was something that was big for him. Now, he's not going to leave money on the table just to stay in South Florida, but I think he's somebody probably could be agreeable to tack on another year. You know?
Absolutely. And Jason Sanders is also an option out there. He is on the books, the kicker, for $3.5 million, 3.775. So, and I don't know where you sit with that in terms of whether that's a lot or a little for a kicker, but having a decent kicker is better than not having a decent kicker. And I don't know where that's usually something that they do when they've already added a kicker and they let somebody compete. You figure out how that plays out for your organization. But I don't know if it would be wise for them to cut him now.
And all you save is 2.3 mil.
Yeah.
They're 2.4. I don't know that it's significant enough. And again, unless they have a really strong feel for a kicker coming out of college.
And then you still got to go get him with one of your very few draft picks and resources.
Yeah, but sometimes you can get a kicker as a UDFA.
Absolutely.
Again, depending on how things play out. So, yeah, I don't know. I don't know that I'd be up for making that move.
Mm-hmm. So to me, there's also the possibility that you can extend David Long. You could extend Duke Riley. These are players that are going to be here. They're core players. You add a year onto their deal, maybe two. Depending on how you feel. Duke is obviously a core special teams guy. He's in the $2.5 million range. Depending on what kind of signing bonus you give him, you can lock him up and take care of him, and him with the cap space, he could take care of you. It's not going to save you a tremendous amount of cap space, but at this point, every little dollar helps. If you think about it, Duke is going to make $2.5 million this year in base salary and roster bonus. His cap number is $3 million. Let's say you extend him a year or two. It's going to reduce his cap number probably by $1 million or $2 million. I don't necessarily know if it's worth it, but it's definitely something that you can consider.
Yeah, I'm going to bring up something here, and it's not for us to go back and forth on a debate because we've had it many times. There's no need to. I'm bringing this only for informational purposes.
Mm-hmm.
As you're aware, I'm going to detail the contract projection from Spotrac about Tua. With their projection was 4 years, $220 million, $55 million average, $105 million guaranteed at signing, $165 million practically guaranteed. And the most important thing here is, because we're talking about the 2024 cap, their projection has a $15 million cap hit for 2024, which would result in a saving of $8 million.
A 4-year extension with $105 million guaranteed brings him down to $35 million a year, which, because the guaranteed money would be split over the first 3 years of the deal. Now, depending if they're doing a 4-year extension and factoring in his 5th-year option, what's that 4-year? What's the total on the 4 years?
220.
220 plus his 23.1 equals 243 divided by 5. 243 divided by 5. Sorry. No. That brings him to $48.6 million a year on the full length of the deal.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anyway, to me, the significance here again was the cap hit change for 2024.
So it would change it from 23 to 15.
Correct.
23 to 15. So that would be an $8 million cap savings.
Correct.
Yeah, I'm not sure I'm necessarily signing Tua for $8 million in cap savings. I can go get that with Jerome Baker. Just a thought.
Okay. Like I said, I'm not
You're
even.
not. You have no horse in the race.
I've had my fill of Tua discussions today with the good folks on Twitter. So and it's not like we haven't.
I got to tweet out your Joe Rose interview too. Make sure I tag you, so Tua and I can find you.
Yeah, of course. Oh, they find me. And again, one more important thing here before we close. I am in Indianapolis at the Combine, as Omar indicated, and as we indicated earlier in the week. The Dolphins' main business is we talk about these prospect workouts. That's not what matters. In fact, Chris Greer said so much during his chat with the South Florida media contingent. As he said, ultimately what matters is what you see on game day. This is just, and in fact, what he talked about really liking about the Combine in terms of the prospects is the interviews, getting to know the person face to face. Dan Campbell said the same thing. Dan Campbell basically said, generally speaking, in a 5-minute conversation, you can have guys who check off what you want to see by the way they answer, problem solving, stuff like that. And he mentioned Jack Campbell, linebacker from Iowa, knowing immediately after his conversation, yeah, that's a guy checks all the boxes. We want to have him. Drafted him in the first round, and the guy completely balled out for him. So the significance of
do you remember the Tua Brian Flores Combine conversation? Yeah. That got a little bit intense and a little bit uncomfortable and a little bit.
Sorry, speaking of Combine interviews, Jatavian Sanders, big tight end from Texas, great receiving tight end. Speaking of interviews, said he absolutely loved Mike McDaniel. Said it was just like the guy you see on television. Said he would love to play for the Dolphins, and then he threw out they would find a way to maximize my skill or showcase me or something to that effect.
Would they? They certainly found a way to maximize Mike Gesicki's skills and showcase his ability. Carry on.
And that's part of the point that I made on alldolphins.com when I wrote about Mr. Sanders.
Can he block? That's
correct. Well, he said that's the one thing that teams have been talking to him about. But the Combine.
Let me say this: the Dolphins love Julian Hill.
I know.
And there's nobody playing over Durham Smythe because Durham Smythe is like a 6th offensive lineman.
They love Durham Smythe too.
Yeah. So all these mock drafts that have the Dolphins drafting a tight end who's probably going to play 400 snaps, maybe if he's lucky, not happening.
And that's a different conversation for another day. Anyway, my entire point was for teams that Combine is about, not necessarily in that order, medicals, the player interviews, and then talking to the agents about the deals that they need to.
Tampering. Just say it.
Tampering, and then the agent for their own players.
Sure.
So,
yeah. Drew Rosenhaus has 98 clients. You think he's only saying to the Dolphins, no. We're only going to talk about my 12 clients that are on your team. Nobody else.
We can't talk to you about the other ones.
We can't talk to you about anybody else. Only the guys that are on your team right now. Okay, let's continue this conversation.
But that's also that's the worst kept secret in the NFL, if not all of sports.
Yeah. The Underwear Olympics is basically just a window dressing, and it just allows the league to create content for future use, to create hype for the draft once free agency is over.
And hold on, and as for those who get fixated on 40-yard dash times, Chris Greer brought up yesterday our good friend Jarvis Landry, who ran like a 4.75 at the Combine, which is insanely slow for a wide receiver.
Jarvis was a baller, though. So,
precisely my point. So, as we close this out, I'm going to throw out this idea to you, my friend Omar.
Okay.
And you guys can tell me if you can swing it, Omar, if it works with your schedule. You guys can tell us in the comments if that works for you guys. I'm thinking maybe before I go out to my last dinner in Indianapolis, before I head back to Miami, the idea of a live podcast tomorrow, like at 6 p.m., say 5:30, 6 p.m.
My daughter's birthday, bro.
Oh, that's right. Okay. So
not happening.
Then we'll tape something.
I love you guys. I respect you. I want to be with you live, but there's nobody who comes before my princess. and it is her birthday. We're going to go to Build-A-Bear, and we're going to build us a bear.
There you go.
Yeah. All right.
Understood.
We will be back tomorrow, though. So look forward to seeing you. You know how to find all our work, alldolphins.com. Free, no paywall, no subscription. You click it, you read it. Poupard's done 4 stories today. I'm producing this masterpiece of how to get $37.6 million in cap space, which is a work in math, which I love you people, so I'll do it. And you know how to find us on the podcast, any place you find audio streaming sites, All Dolphins. Like, subscribe, tweet, share. Tell us that you love us because we love you.
I need it. With all the hate I got on Twitter, I need some of this.
There you
go.
I put out a video of you today where you basically told people don't get married. So I felt like it's better to be single, right?
Than marry the wrong one. Yes.
Oh, okay, good. You're right. I'm not arguing with you. You're right.
Okay.
Divorce is painful. So, all right, folks, we'll see you tomorrow. Visit alldolphins.com for the latest news, analysis, and columns, and it's all free. You can find Omar Kelly and Alan Poupard on the All Dolphins podcast discussing South Florida's NFL team on YouTube and anywhere you find your audio podcasts. Make sure you subscribe, like, and share so you stay in the know.